Okay, everyone. Something. Okay. Okay, this is from Yahoo News. Daily Beast. Director describes RAPE accuser as a bashful Betty Boop. Isn't that cute, you guys? A bashful Betty Boop. Pretty sure there was a 40-year age difference as well. Of course. November 3rd, 2022. Crash director Paul Haggis took the stand for the second straight day at a New York courtroom where he testified in lurid detail about a 2013 encounter with a woman who has accused him of the R word. There's also, if you read Ron Miscavige's book, that happened to him as well. I've got my thoughts, but Scientology got him out of that one. I mean, I got my thoughts. Haggis 69. Doesn't that, qualify as old, everyone? That qualifies as old, right? No shade to anyone. Told the jury why he's getting to talk so much is beyond me, but that the incident, the R word, allegedly, former publicist Haley Breest was consensual. How many times have we heard that one before, you guys? As the 12th day of trial got underway. They all say that, don't they? Most notably, refuting allegations the pair had intercourse at his Soho loft following a Manhattan film premiere on January 31st, 2013. I'm getting vibes. Haggis contradicted much of the 36-year-old. See what I say? She's 36. He's 69. Well, let's see. 70 take away. It's about a 30-year age, 32, 33-year age difference. Of course, right? Notice the 36. Haggis contradicted much of the 36-year-old's earlier court testimony. I'm pretty sure Mike Rinder gave a witness statement or something to that effect for Haggis, rejecting the notion he had S relations with her beyond what he alleged was consensual mouth blank, which the Hollywood screenwriter testified she consensually blanked on him. Because all women just can't get enough of this guy. And then when all this was going on, you guys, if you go and look into it, he ran away to France. And you know what he was doing? Guess what he was doing when he was in France? He was teaching young women acting courses. Haggis, who said Breest, sent him mixed signals. Well, no means no. No means no. After they got to his top floor suite, apparently he can't find a woman his age. Told the court the pair had approximately 5 separate kissing sessions, and that he gave Breest space multiple times after she said, "I shouldn't," even offering to get her a taxi home. I'm reading it slowly because I'm analyzing. If anything, like, sparks something. I'll take you downstairs and put you in a cab right now, if that's what you want to do. Haggis insisted. He said to Breest. Isn't that hearsay, you guys? I'm not a lawhead, but isn't that just hearsay? He told the court he later gave Breest a tour of his apartment whilst showing off a number of trophies and awards, including his 2 Oscars. I mean, it is something to be proud of, but where did that Oscar statue come from again? Haggis said he later removed Breest's tights with her assistance. Well, those are hard to get off, so she more or less rolled. This doesn't sound right to me because I read a little bit earlier. She more or less rolled on her back, so it was easier to get the tights off. You know what this reminds me of? I've been watching a lot of videos about detecting when people lie. Oh, I'm trying to think of the name of the channel. Lisa Bilyeu. She had some really cool guests on, as well as other videos that were talking about psychopathic behavior, etc. But I watched quite a few different related videos. And to me, this is my opinion, this sounds like over-explaining. It sounds like over-explaining to me, which usually indicates a lie. Free to have an opinion. She lifted her buttocks. I'm going to say this in a different way. She lifted her behind, her buttocks. I'm trying to think of like laying on my back. She lifted her butt. She lifted her buttocks. She lifted her behind, her buttocks. When we started sliding it down over her hips. Again, this is my opinion. As Haggis testified, Breest listened and blankly stared at Haggis from behind her lawyers. At any point did Miss Breest resist? His lawyer, Priya Chowdhury, asked. No, she was laughing, Haggis quipped, stating the interaction lasted about 5 seconds. Doesn't sound right to me, you guys. They always do use the same defense, though, don't they? Moments earlier, Haggis had testified that Breest looked cartoony, comparing her demeanor to both Betty Boop and Jessica Rabbit when the former publicist told him, "No, I shouldn't." It was a little like Betty Boop, Haggis told the jury. He described Breest as bashful. She was smiling, Haggis said. It was like a teasing kind of smile. That's a strange statement to make. What would a 36-year-old beautiful publicist see in a guy who's almost 70 years old? I know when I was in my 30s, there's no way. There's no way. Breest, meanwhile, had testified on October 20th that Haggis had looked like the devil in the same moment. I've heard stories, you guys, that whether it is a person hurting a child that way or a man hurting a woman that way, that they get a demonic look on their face right before they do the act. He's trying to pull my tights down, and I'm trying to pull them up. I wonder if he shoved her down on the bed, onto the bed. Breest told jurors last week he looked like the devil. Haven't we heard similar stories with, let me think. Neil Gaiman? Things that happened with Neil Gaiman were so horrendous, I refuse to read that stuff. I can't. Contrastingly, Haggis then claimed that Breest later touched his groin over top of his boxers and began blank his blank. You guys can guess. Breest, the $1 Million Baby writer, said later put her hand on his chest and gave him back a confident push. I'm reading this slowly because I'm trying to picture it in my head. Gave him back a confident push onto a pillow, resting on his guest bedroom sleigh bed. Breest then told him, "I'm good at this." What did you understand that to mean? Chowdhury asked him. That she wanted to give me blank blank. Because you know all women are dreaming of that one, right? That's all they ever think about. Haggis responded, who said, he then laid, I don't want to read too much. You guys can guess. Haggis testified he ultimately passed out. That doesn't sound right to me at all. And later awoke to find that Breest left his home. He couldn't specify whether his blank I'm not going to read this. He couldn't specify whether something was on her tights. On the stand, Haggis stated he had no memory of blank blank Breest. You guys can guess what that means. He had no memory, you guys. You ever heard this one before? He had no memory of it. But you know what, Kit would prove different? I can't read all of this, you guys. At any point that night, do you recall blank, blank, blank? If something happened, if something happened. No, Haggis replied. He didn't remember anything, you guys. Which I find strange that he couldn't remember if there was something on her tights. I can't get too deep. But yet, he can't remember this thing ever happening. During this afternoon cross-examination, however, Brees' lawyers played a September 2019 deposition in which Haggis said he didn't know whether he blank Brees when something goes, in. Do you have knowledge that you blank Miss Brees with blank? Prosecution lawyer Ian Mazel asked in the recording. I don't know how to answer that question, Haggis said. I don't know how a man would ever forget that one, right? Do you know if you blank Miss Brees? So it's just he's repeating the same question. No, Haggis flatly said. Mazel, who paused the recording, then asked, you don't remember if you and Miss Brees had intercourse? Is that correct? I have no memory of that. I mean, it's one way to answer. Haggis' testimony stood in stark contrast to Brees' account. Brees, who testified over a number of days in the civil suit last week, told the court that Haggis pinned her to his kitchen. That needs to be explained more. To his kitchen what? And forcibly kissed her before he forced her to provide blank before assaulting her. I mean, we do know Haggis went up against Scientology. We know that. Brees, who said she was terrified, described feeling like a caged animal during the alleged incident. He was slobbering all over my face. Ugh. My mouth was closed and I was turning my head away. Yeah, that usually means no. For anyone who didn't get that memo, Brees testified. I was startled, and after a couple of seconds, I broke out of his hold. At one point during the incident, Brees had claimed an enraged Haggis, they usually are when you say no. I mean, these kinds of guys, asked her how old she was before telling her, don't act like an effing 18-year-old in the midst of a suspected tryst. He sure does like them young, though, doesn't he? Why did you say that to Miss Brees? Chowdhury asked Haggis Thursday. Because I was getting such mixed signals, Haggis said. Trying to catch if he's kind of going up and down with different, if he's consistent. Haggis, who has also been accused of assaulting or attempting to rape 4 different women between 1996 and 2015, also directly denied those allegations on the stand Thursday. I think Rinder did some type of statement for Haggis. I'm going to go look into that. This is sounding very Masterson-like. And every male Scientologist, and I'm not saying all male Scientologists are doing this, but for the ones that I know for a fact were guilty, they all say the same thing. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Haggis testified he traded a number of emails with Briest. That's good evidence. Whom he saw at other film events he attended in New York before he went on to date roughly between 20 and 30 women. I would want the names. I mean, look at the guy. 20 or 30 women? Ugh. I don't know why women or anyone would lie about things like this, make up or twist the truth, Haggis told his attorney. They always, if the man's innocent, not innocent. If the man's guilty, they always say the same things. Loosely. Haggis' daughters, Lauren, Katie, Alyssa, and son, James Haggis, sat front row in the court's gallery Thursday. The Canadian screenwriter's ex-wife, TV actress Deborah Renard, who testified Wednesday, sat with them. Haggis, a former Scientologist and church whistleblower, has also argued that the Church of Scientology manufactured the civil RAP case to smear him for publicly defecting from the religion in 2009. I mean, I do know Scientology would be capable of this, but then you've got, 4 other women? And it's so prevalent in Scientology. So prevalent. Mazel paused his cross-examination for the day by quizzing Haggis on a supposed back injury, which required surgery. 58 days. 58 days, that's about 3 months? Prior to the alleged RAPE. Haggis' legal team has previously suggested he would have been physically incapable of R-ing Briest due to a back brace he'd been wearing at the time. Haggis' cross-examination is expected to continue Friday. So, you guys know what I think. So I'll leave a link in the description box. Peace.